Yeah, and in case you were wondering, he's Case. I'm not, okay? We are so fired up to have you here today, though. This is great. And welcome to all you guys. So if it's your first time at Toolbox, just let me give you the lay of the land, because this is what we do. We love it when people like Case will just come and they're willing to share their story. All we do is tell stories. And, you know, what we're convinced of to the core of who we are is that one man's story, it's entertaining, it's fun, and all those kind of things, but the intention is that one man's story adds chapters to the rest of our stories. So one of the ways we describe what we're doing here at Toolbox is we want men to hear inspiring stories that lead to meaningful conversations. So we hope that things you hear Case talking about today will either become chatter around your table or a conversation you have later with your wife or your buddies or back in the office, or maybe you take some sort of next step beyond today that puts you in a place to have meaningful conversations, that those meaningful conversations would lead to clear next steps, that we are men who are being grown and changed. And that's what we're going to do here today. So, Case, thanks a ton for being here.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So let's start with football. Where else could we start?
Why not, huh?
Yeah. So Trey just went through a bunch of amazing stats: 19,000 passing yards in college, a record that still stands. Yeah, the all-time touchdown record when you left school. I think that's recently passed. But
no, I think it's tied.
It's still standing?
It's tied. Dylan Gabriel tied.
Okay.
It was close.
Yeah.
Very close.
Sammy Ball Award twice, et cetera, et cetera. 14 years in pro football, which, you know, some of the other guys we've had come through this said NFL stands for not for long, so that's pretty impressive.
Well, not for long in where I was. I've been in Houston, St. Louis, L.A., Minnesota, Denver, Washington, Cleveland, Buffalo, Houston, Chicago, and it's still going.
See how smart quarterbacks are? That's amazing.
I had a lot of practice.
Yeah, he didn't even have that written on his arm today, so that was pretty good. So listen, let's talk football. You know, one of the things we always want to do is just kind of lean in and, you know, here, you know, between high school, college, pro, you know, there's got to be all these accumulated stories of fun, exciting, meaningful, memorable stuff that you've gone through. So take us into your football world, Case.
Oh, yeah. Well, it's hard not to start with the Minnesota Miracle.
Yeah, right.
That's kind of what I get asked about the most.
Yeah.
You know, the walk-off game-winning touchdown against the Saints in the divisional round. I think it was like 2018, right? 2017-18 season. It's an incredible moment. I mean, the Minnesota Miracle, I've told a story a bunch of times, but playing probably my childhood and development years idol, Drew Brees, a guy I've studied. I want to be just like him. I'm about the same height as him. The Texas quarterback, wanted to be him. So we're playing the Saints up at Vikings Stadium, which is incredible. I was basically playing for free this week because Brian and my whole family was there. I had my whole crew. It was incredible. First playoff start for me, and come down to it, just like every kid's dream, I get the ball back, you know, with enough time to go win the game. Not a lot of time, but a few passes in, hit Diggs for about a 15-yard gain, and I think we're on the 39-yard line, and we run a play I'll never forget. Gun Buffalo right, key left 7 heaven, and Stephon Diggs is on a heaven 7 route towards the back pylon, which, if you know anything about Diggs, he likes to run his routes a little different than they should be in the playbook. So he flattened it off, but he was open, and I let a ball go that felt about as good as any ball I've ever thrown, and I see his white gloves go up, kind of holds him up a little bit, you know, kind of instead of going towards the sideline, he has to stop and jump, and that's the last thing I see, and the crowd just goes crazy when he catches the ball and comes down, and then he turns and runs, and there's nobody there because the safety had taken out the other guy, and the crowd went absolutely crazier. It was the coolest, most incredible scene of sports that I've ever been a part of, and I've been a part of some crazy ones.
Yeah.
It was epic. It was awesome. I got to lead the Skol chant after that. They had to bring the Saints back off because we rushed the field, and they had to bring them back on to kneel the extra point, and I got to lead the Skol chant, and just an incredible atmosphere. It was so awesome. top moments for me for sure.
Yeah.
I was thinking about this when you were talking about sports stories, though. I'll tell you all one that nobody really knows. Maybe the other end of the spectrum. My rookie year, playing for Coach Kubiak here in the Texans, one of my first rookie games in the preseason was up at the old Vikings stadium. What was the old one called? The Metrodome, yeah. So, and I remember I was playing really good. I didn't get to go in because we had Schaub, Yates, maybe one other guy at the time, but I was playing the third into the fourth quarter, and I was playing really good. I was like, man, I'm balling right now. And so if you don't know, but the quarterbacks in the NFL, we have a headset in our helmet, and the coach can push a button on his headset, and he can tell me the play, so I tell the guys in the huddle the play. Well, Schaub and those guys, treat me like a rookie. They're like, in case that headset goes out, you better be ready to call a play. You better have something ready to go. And so I have like 3 or 4 plays memorized before the game. And we're driving in the middle of the third quarter, towards the end of the third quarter, and I'm looking at the play clock. And the play clock, if it goes below 15 seconds, the headset shuts off. And that's when you know it's like, okay, it's time to call. I got to do something. I'm not allowed to call timeout. Coach Kubiak was going to call the timeout. So I'm like, all right, let's see who's in the huddle here. I'm not going to run a run play. Let's run a pass play. So I have this awesome pass play. I spit it out. We get to the line of scrimmage. I look over at the sideline, and they're yelling at me like, look at the clock. Look at the clock. And I'm like, I know. I'm getting it going. And I look, and the play clock's going down, 5, 4, 3, 2. And, like, a guy's lined up wrong. I'm trying to get him. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to call timeout. I'm going to do it. So I call timeout. And the white hat, I remember his name was Walt. He comes up to me. He's like, Case, he's like, you don't want a timeout. It's the end of the third quarter. And so I was like, oh, my gosh. And I remember just the walk of shame towards Coach Kubiak. And he gave me I'm not even mad. I'm disappointed in you. And, yeah, it was embarrassing. So I've come a long way since then.
Oh, yeah.
But, yeah, I love my time in Houston at Kubiak. Yeah, we still come back to Houston, still live here right down the street, and call it home. But my journey's taken me all over, a ton of football stories. But yeah, it's been.
So
been a blast.
in one of the transition moments, didn't you get a sudden call like to come and play somewhere when you were like out hunting?
Oh, yeah. So, my time between Houston and St. Louis was kind of between practice squads, and I got cut here when O'Brien came, and so I was back. Went back to St. Louis and was on their practice squad. And we had a Thursday night game like week 15 or 16. So we had the weekend off. In St. Louis, I got into bow hunting while I was up there. And I was like, I'm getting in the woods. So I remember being in a little climber stand at this farmer's plot with a little soybean field and this little cool dry creek running by it. And my wife's at home watching the Texans game. And it was, I think Tom Savage had started, or Fitzpatrick got hurt, Savage got hurt, and Shane Leckler was like warming up on the sideline. And my wife was texting me because I had just been with the Texans during training camp, and I gotten cut and picked up on the St. Louis practice squad. And she's like, Ryan got hurt, Tom got hurt, Shane Leckler's warming up. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And then the next thing I know, my agent calls, and he's like, hey, they just called, Texas just called, you're going to start against Baltimore this week if you want to go back. And I'm like, let me call you back. Like, I think I hear something in the woods here. So my heart rate goes, and it wasn't buck fever. There was nothing that came by that day. But I do remember, and I tell this story this way. It was so cool. It was such a God moment that had his fingerprints all over this. And the reason why, I was sitting there in the quiet and praying, and I see this bald eagle flying down this little dry creek bed. And I'm like, there's no way that was it. And then it turns and it comes straight back, and it's just majestic. And if you've ever seen one, you know what I'm talking about. But being quiet and still in the woods and watching one fly just majestically, I was like, oh my gosh. And I just signed a few autographs, but my verse that I love to sign is Isaiah 40:31. For those who wait on the Lord, he will renew their strength. They will mount up on wings like eagles. He will walk and not grow weary. They will run and not faint. And that's been a life verse for me, waiting on the Lord. I've been waiting on the Lord for a lot of my career, including right now. I'll be a free agent again. We'll see. But I know there's probably a lot of y'all in here waiting on the Lord. And for me, waiting on the Lord is being prepared for the moment when it comes. Like it's not just sitting there twiddling your thumbs. It's serving. That's a good waiter, a good server. He's a good waiter. He's waiting a table. He's always there ready. That your chips and queso is filled when it's getting halfway.
Yeah.
Your margarita's getting refilled halfway. So for me, being prepared, that season was a season of waiting. But I'm on the practice squad. I'm working. I'm grinding. I'm ready for the opportunity, and so I'm very confident. I think God was just like a little wink of that eagle,
Isn't that
and
cool?
I get down out of that tree. I go home, and I literally get on a flight that night. My wife, Brian's sister, Kimberly, she packs up our stuff. We're back in Houston the next day, and Bill O'Brien's cussing me out during practice, and I'm like, who else are you gonna put in over here, dude? Like, I'm gonna throw it to Andre Johnson, okay? Sorry. So we did. We won the last 2 games and finished 9-7. I think that was O'Brien's first year, and I think as if Johnny Football would have beat the Baltimore, we'd have made the playoffs, but. All you Aggies know how that goes. So I see a few Aggies out there. I know.
Well,
I know where I'm at.
It was going so well for a minute there.
It's all right. It's all right.
Oh man,
Y'all made a good playoff.
I love that
appearance.
picture though. I love that picture. Both things you described. That idea of being called down and called up at the same time. Called down out of the tree. Called back
I've
into
never
your
thought about
purpose,
that.
Right?
That's cool.
It's a beautiful movement on that. And that idea of waiting. I love the way you put that. Waiting is being ready for the moment. So, and you said even now you're waiting. So I don't know if you guys know it, but you guys all rushed to the buffet over here. And Kay said, "No, I already ate. I'm being careful what I eat." When you're 37 years old,
38. I turned 38
still playing.
this week. So.
You got to stay ready.
Yeah.
So I love that picture.
If I'm going to make it till 44 with Phillip Rivers, I can't be here at Lakeside drinking transfusions with you boys
I love it.
on some random Wednesday.
Okay, so let's talk a little bit more pro ball. So who's the guy? What's the most memorable, if you can remember it, hit you ever
Was that
took?
a shot, Tom?
No, come on. Just where you got. Who's the guy who you're the worst?
The worst hit, you said?
Sack or whatever was that you ever anything stand out or the guy
Well,
who
they
just didn't
changed
like
the
playing
rule for we have a red hot who stands on the sideline and a couple of guys that stand in the press box. They changed the rule for concussions now. If you show symptoms and they see it, you're immediately in the protocol because I got hit. Elvis Doomerville slammed my head to the ground and I got up kind of like this. My lineman pulled me up and I stayed in the game, which wasn't great. Haloti Ngata, if you remember him, the Samoan. It was the fastest I've ever been from vertical to horizontal. I threw the ball and blinked, and I didn't even feel anything. I don't know if my body registered, but I opened my eyes back, and I'm on the ground. I'm like, that was interesting. And I still have dreams about the honey badger early in Arizona.
Oh, wow.
They did a little hey diddle diddle 3 up the middle blitz, and he was free. That was the Texans' year at Arizona. I think that was the week after Coach Kubiak went down. Andre was still rolling, but we just couldn't put it together. It's a tough year.
Yeah, wow. How about U of H? Tell us something about U of H time. I mean, that was a really going and blowing season for them and for you.
Yeah, the first thing that popped in my head was when the Aggies let out that Coach Sumlin was going to be their head coach before our championship game, and we lost to Southern Miss. Instead of going to the Sugar Bowl, we had to go play in some Ticket City Bowl against Penn State that year. That's the first thing that popped in my head. U of H was so great. I loved, being from Abilene. I grew up in Abilene. My wife and I grew up. It's a smallish town. It's one of those big small towns where everybody knows everybody. Went to a smaller high school to come to Houston to go to the 3rd Ward, to be this white kid from West Texas coming in and, the culture shock, which I truly embraced and loved. We had such a great team and culture and the build that we had with Coach Bryles brought in. Coach Sumlin really, really did a great job of fine-tuning. And we had a core group of guys that were incredible, that fed off each other, that challenged each other, worked hard, and we just kind of become men at that time.
That's cool.
And it was so fun to not be the ones that got handed everything. Like we took pride in that we had to go show our equipment guys, like, hey, we got holes in our socks. Yeah, we need some new ones. Like, just that type of mentality. It's a little different, it seems like, than the NIL world of today where, you throw a few touchdowns, you go get in the portal. So, I really did appreciate my time there as a Houstonian, kind of starting my transition here. And we call Houston home now.
Yeah.
Been here a long time, but we love it. We love it here in Houston. We loved it our time at U of H. There's so many memories. Beating Texas Tech at home, leading a fourth quarter game-winning drive. We beat Oklahoma State, number 5 in the country. Probably the best one though was when I got my 6th year. I got injured my senior year. I tore my ACL, missed that whole year, and I got a year of eligibility back, and got to come back and play against the same team I tore my ACL against, which was UCLA. And man, just an incredible moment to be able to go on that field after working so hard and putting everything I had in and getting to beat the team, that I had basically just thought I lost football the year before. So.
Wow.
That whole story in itself, man, is another a whole nother story.
Wow. So you mentioned Abilene too. So let's roll the tape back to when you were a kid. We love to hear not just what a guy does, but some of the defining moments and experiences and people who shaped him to be not just do what they do, but to be who they are.
Yeah.
What's that like for you?
No, it's great. I grew up a coach's kid, 2 little sisters. My dad moved us all around West Texas. We lived in Brownwood. I actually talked to one of my dad's old football players today, who's, I guess, living here in Houston. Pretty cool. He played for him at Brownwood. Lived in Stephenville, Ballinger, way out in Alpine, Texas. He coached at Sul Ross. We wound up in Abilene, though, because he coached at Cooper and then Hardin Simmons and McMurray, small schools there. Never coached me, which is probably a good thing. We have a great relationship, but man, my dad's my hero, and man, he's the greatest example for me for what our Heavenly Father is like, and one on earth here. So I love him to death. He's been my coach all the way through, off the field more so than on the field. But for me, getting to be a ball boy and in his locker rooms with those players that he had on his teams was huge. That was a huge development for me. I was looking up to older players that I wanted to be like. And I know I talked about Drew Brees earlier, but my heroes, man, were Braxton Shaver, Roy Peacock, Kedrick Dixon, these guys who played Division III football because they loved it. And I loved watching them, and they were really, really good. And the coolest part was most of the guys he recruited weren't just good football players. They were great human beings and Christians. And I was like, man, something's different about this guy. What's different about Braxton Shaver? And I found out it was Jesus Christ in his life. It was a guy that could compete and give everything he had on the field, and then watch, what he said around kids and how he interacted with his teammates and loving each other, and like that love pouring out, which I think is this really cool thing of being a Christian man, what we're called to be. It's not soft. It's not weak. It's not, we're called to win. We're called to run the race and run it to the fullest, but giving the glory to God, playing not for the name on the front, really, the name on the back, but the name that's written on our hearts, like the ones we've given up our hearts to Christ and given him the glory. So that's a huge part of my story and why I do what I do. And I know that there's kids watching what I do and what I say and how I act. And I love to, be one of the guys and go have a beer with the little line, but also like, man, I live a different way, I love my bride, and I love my family, and I love my God, and I'm not gonna negotiate on those standards. So that's cool. That's kind of what's brought me to today. I think a big turning point in my faith walk was truly, and I know Mikado Henson. You talked about Kevin Cobb, but Mikado Henson came and spoke. I think probably a few months ago. He was the chaplain at the University of Houston. So when I showed up on campus, my dad made sure I had the head coach's name and then the chaplain's name. That's Mikado Henson. So I'd met with him very consistently. We've become honestly best friends. He married my wife and I, and we stay in contact. Actually, the first person I called when he got let go at A&M, which is probably where some of my A&M spike comes from, guys, to be honest. When the new AD came in there and shaded all up, Mikado, who was I think he was player development there, Billy Chaplin, I was like, all right, great for me. So I called D'Amico, and he's the Texans chaplain now and doing a lot of great work over there with those guys. So, but for me, my faith became real when I got out on my own and got around men who, iron sharpening iron, sharpened me up, I sharpened them up, and Mikado was one of those guys. So
that's cool. So you mentioned your dad, as a reflection to you of your Heavenly Father, and you give us a little example there. He's going to make sure you're connected here and there. Other things about your dad that was like the ways that he invested in you and in your life that is reflective of that?
Yeah,
or his way?
More than probably we have time for.
Okay.
Man, let me think. So one of my favorite stories, so I always use this acronym, Real Man of God, and I stole it from a guy who probably stole it from somebody else, but a real man of God. R, rejects passivity. E, engages with God. A, accepts responsibility. And L, leads courageously. Man, and my dad has so many examples of those that he's taught me. R, rejecting passivity. I think sometimes in our world, men are expected to just go forward and act and do and all. And I think there are some passiveness that's kind of inherent in our communities and our world today. But I think for us as men, we're called to lead, to be in the front, to take action. I think sometimes action may be to step back. That can be an action as well. But I think most of the time, action means going and doing. If you're going to go make disciples, you can't make disciples on your couch. You have to go and make disciples. That's get off your butt and go and make disciples of all nations. For my dad, reject passivity. I'll give you all an example of each. My brother-in-law, my middle sister, got married. It's been 10, 12 years now. But when my brother-in-law asked my dad for her hand in marriage, he could have been like, oh, yeah, I don't know you real well, but I appreciate the gesture. Like, sure. He basically said, no. And I was like, heck yeah, let's go, Dad. He's like, I need to get to know you first. He's like, I'm going to set up meetings with your pastor. I'm going to set up meetings with your friends. We're going to come back to your hometown. And he grilled this dude went to work. It was the best. And, it's so good. And I don't know if y'all have ever seen the movie Kingdom of Heaven where it's like Orlando Bloom. It's an old movie, but his dad is knighting him and he gives him his oath and he winds up slapping him. He says, this is your oath. And then slaps him. That's so you'll remember it. Well, we're at the rehearsal dinner and all our family, his family's there. And my dad, who is really become like a father to my brother-in-law because his dad is not around as much, and he gives him this crest and this shield and this sword that he's done, this rites of passage deal for our family and our men in our family, and he gives it to Justin, and he told me earlier, he's like, I'm gonna slap him. I was like, okay, you do it. So I'm holding the thing above some because I'm smiling, and he slaps Justin across the face in front of the whole. It was so great. It was so great. Everybody's like, little granny's in the front seat, like, what? That's my baby. But yeah, and engaging with God, man, you got to plug in, man. If we're not plugged into the vine, we're not going to produce. If you're not plugged in daily, consistently, whatever that looks like, a lot of ways of doing that. But engaging with God is the one. That's our power source. Right. Accepting responsibility. I remember I snuck into the Wiley Swim Club, and he made me go back to the owner and offer to mow the whole place for the whole summer for free, and that wasn't very fun. But I had to accept responsibility, and then leading courageously. Like I said before, man, that's our mantra, man. As men of God, is to lead our families, lead our communities, lead our church, and that's why I love being a Christian and doing what I do. Because, like I said, it's not a soft thing, it's not a weak thing, man. He's called us to be strong and courageous. Multiple times throughout Scripture. So
that's so good. So I'll put this in the follow-up email to all you guys who are registered. You'll get a follow-up email afterward. But just to recount what you said, it's reject passivity, engage with God, accept responsibility, and lead courageously. Yeah, that's fantastic.
We stole it from somebody who stole it from somebody else, but it'll preach. It's like plays in the NFL. If you think you've seen a play run somewhere else, you have. Like we have guys that sit there on Monday that watch every pass that goes on from the previous Sunday's games that goes over 20 yards, not completed, but just passes. And so they see, oh yeah, we were thinking about running that play. Oh, it picked off. We're not going to run that. And there's families of these offenses and defenses that are all interconnected. So yeah. Anyway, that's a side football story. That's what you're going to get with me.
That is so good. So you mentioned already kind of seasons of waiting, and that you kind of had that. And then you mentioned like when you were at U of H tearing your ACL, and that's setting you back a year. So, for a guy who basically gets hit for a living, there's no doubt been tough experiences and tough seasons, tough occasions. So one of the things that is always helpful to us is one of the times and ways we grow the best. Even though we don't like it, is usually when we're going through something hard. A trial, a testing, a disappointment, a loss. Any particular seasons, experiences, et cetera, that stand out for you, that would be where you've been kind of grown through adversity?
Yeah, you're exactly right. I think I'm still in the maturity level of, hating to admit it. But, man, the most I've ever grown and the best things in my life have come through the hardest. And I have to continually remind myself of the promises God has made through his word, that he's going to take care of me and give me the tools and abilities through him to be able to get through whatever I'm in. But honestly, I have to remind myself of times that he has brought me through. And one, like I said, was tearing my ACL. It was my second game of my senior year at U of H. We thought Heisman, we thought all these things, BCS, and I throw a pick, and I try to go make a tackle, and I'm not very good at tackling. And, I just wanted to go hurt the guy, and I cut and tore everything in my knee. Thought I might be done. But through that year of working back, man, honestly, was the time where I knew that I wanted to marry my wife, who I dated for about 6 years. She was by my side the entire time and was just this rock of inspiration, of encouragement, challenge. And, man, it was just like, what am I doing? Like, let me make sure that she doesn't run off. And she's been the best part of our team, which has moved. Man, she is a logistical ninja at doing all this stuff around the country, and she has poured into to players' wives, coaches' wives, and done great ministry all over the country. So, just one of the best things in my life came through one of the worst. That I was like, wow. All right, God's like, hey, make sure this girl that's helping you get off the couch to go take a dump, like you might want to make sure you keep her around a little bit more. So that was definitely one of them. And honestly, 2 years ago with the Texans going on IR. I got my foot stepped on at training camp and had Liz Frank, not surgery, but had to have knee surgery, and I thought I was done. They kind of, didn't, I wasn't a part of the team anymore at that point, which was really, really tough for me. And this identity of football became something that I didn't get to reward myself with every day. I knew who my identity was in and what I was really striving for, but man, when you're not doing that thing that God made you to do anymore, God, it was so tough. And some of the most growing emotionally, relationally with my wife, as a man of God, as a father, came from the previous year. And then, man, it fed into this past year with Coach Ben Johnson and the Bears this year. When he called me during free agency last year and was like, man, Case, what's so sexy about you? I was like, what are you talking about? He's like, just your ability to work with these young kids, like the rookie quarterbacks coming up. And I'm like, all right, well, I guess I'll play again. And we go have this magical run this year and play some of the most incredible games. If you saw any Chicago Bears games, I mean, it was unbelievable. We go in the locker room afterwards like, what just happened? Like, what's going on? And it just week after week after week, and it was so much fun. Had a great rapport with the coaches, and, man, it was just probably one of my more favorite years that I really only played one preseason game. And I had so much fun this year. Drawing up plays, helping the coaches, helping Caleb, helping receivers. I was actually talking to Bucky Richardson. His son, JP, who's a rookie for us this year. He played at TCU. He grew up Missouri City, I think, right? Sugar Land area. And it's funny, rookies these days, him and another rookie come in and say, hey, Case, you talked to me at my 6th grade FCA camp. And I'm like, golly. So they're getting younger, man.
You are finding great opportunities, though, to be the older guy and having a chance to build not just football but life in the guys behind.
Yeah, it really, it's so much fun. I'm at a point now where I've done a lot of it. I've been undrafted. I've made teams. I've been cut like 3 or 4 times. Been traded 3 or 4 times. I've been a franchise starting quarterback. I've been the second string guy that went in for they benched the guy for me, and then I've been benched for the other guy, and all that and more. I've gone 2-14. I've gone 13-3, and to have all of that and just be in this special place to where I can be very confident in who I am, what God made me to do, and honestly not give a crap, about trying to get another contract or making any friends. I'm going to tell the truth. And I just go in and I tell the truth every day. I tell Caleb, I don't know if anybody's recording this, but
Come on.
I tell Caleb, I'm like, dude, all my friends ask me why you paint your nails.
Why what?
Why you paint your nails. This is Caleb Williams. He paints his fingernails. I don't know if you know this. And I'm like, you know what I tell him, Caleb? I just tell him you're gay. He gets a big kick out of that. So he's not, I promise. I don't want anybody tweeting that, all right? This is the locker room talk. Hey, quit recording over there. I see somebody with a phone over there.
Yeah, all your phones will be
cool.
confiscated at the door when you leave. But
yeah, he's not, I promise. Somebody's going to tweet that out today or something.
Man.
Trey, looking at you, bud.
Hey, let's circle back to identity. So you touched on that a second ago. So, every guy in here battles that. No matter what your calling is, what your profession is, whether you're engineer, accountant, entrepreneur, whatever, we all are in worlds where we're living according to some sort of scoreboard. Things count in the win column, loss column. And there's a tendency among us men is when there's more chalk marks in the win column than the loss, we tend to feel a little bit better about who we are and the value of who we are. And when there's more, chalk under the letter L, it's tougher. And so, you've been in a place, and one of the reasons I love speaking to athletes so much is that there is a fairly limited shelf life to your career. So you hit that crossroad earlier than some of the other guys, but we all hit it, but you hit it a little earlier. So, and you also do it in public, which is an added challenge, to be sure. So take us down into that. How do you mentioned promises of God a second ago, and as something that you maybe cling to, but take us down. How do you, in that, rise above or battle to rise above that dynamic?
Yeah, identity's huge. I think we all struggle with it at times and deal with it. My profession, my job, we have a saying. It is, what have you done for me lately? And I'm sure that can relate to a lot of folks in here and in jobs that they've done, man. A production business. If you're not producing, why are you here is why. They check when I come in the building. We watch film of us basically watching film. How are you watching film? There's an iPad. We have an iPad that a lot of guys watch film on, and there's time. They judge how much time you're on that. It is. We watch film of us in individual drills of all of this, and then that's every day we're judged on that. So that mindset is so hard to not transfer to my other parts of my life, to my family life, to my marriage, to my emotional life, to my spiritual life, and it's so tough, and it's the everyday. Reminding yourself, one, of God's promises, engaging with God every day. And I think when that is just buried in your heart more than what the world is trying to tell you that you're worth, it just naturally comes out. I had the most incredible moment, supposedly, of my life, right? This Minnesota Miracle. I throw the pass, throw the touchdown, Diggs runs into the end zone. The fans are going crazy. I throw my helmet. I'm like shoving people, running around. There's nothing in my head that's like, I'm like, and the sideline reporter grabs me. This national television. It's this is divisional round. There's one game going on, and he sticks the mic in my face, and he's like, Case, this has got to be the best moment of your life. Tell me what you're thinking. And I was like, what am I going to say? And what came out was like, no, it's not. This is the third best moment behind giving my life to Christ and marrying my wife. and it's now the 5th. You know, I have 2 kids. Yeah, thank you. But I don't know if I hadn't like met with our chaplain weekly and been discipled weekly that year, that I'd have focused more on all the other stuff going on around the noise instead of the true goal and the true vision of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And if I had not been in my word daily and built those things up in my heart, man, that would have been the highest of high. But I'll tell you what, we walked out of that stadium and they all left. We had a great time afterwards with the family. And the next week we go to Philadelphia and we got our asses kicked. I mean, we marched down, we scored a touchdown, we got to stop, and I'm like, we're going to the Super Bowl. It's 7-0. They beat us 38-7. We didn't sniff the end zone after that. And so the highest of highs, lowest of lows, but like that answer is still the same. Like if that's not in your heart, man, then if winning and losing is everything, if producing is everything, at some point that faucet's going to dry up. And for me, it dried up last year, and it was tough. And I'm talking to myself more than I'm talking to any of you guys, because I know all you guys are figuring it out. Y'all are here at Lakeside on a Wednesday figuring it out. But man, that's where it's at. If you're storing those things up in your heart, man, it'll come out. I had a mentor, my dad's mentor, John Randalls from West Texas. Man, he said, "You is what you is, and you ooze what you ooze." When you get squeezed, whatever's in you is going to come out. So
okay, let's get that one again because you don't want to miss it. You is what you is,
and you ooze
and
what you ooze.
What you ooze. When you squeeze, what's in is going to come out.
That's right.
So let's pay attention to what we're putting in.
Yeah, R.I.P. John.
Yeah. That is awesome. In fact, you mentioned that whole idea of a promise of God, and the picture that comes to my mind, and it is if you imagine like being on a bus or a subway where you don't get a seat and you have to stand up, and then that loop that comes from the ceiling, you're going to hang on to that because you get on that bus or that train, it's going to sling from side to side in a minute, and you've got that to support you or steady you or brace you when the reality of that ride's coming in. And in the same way, it's not like you do, like hang on to the promise of God.
The ride's coming. The bounces are coming.
The mountains are coming.
They promise. God's promised, literally, that it's not going to be easy.
Yeah.
The path is not easy. It's not wide. It's not the one everybody else is going on.
And there's going to be trouble. But he says, I've overcome the world.
There's no doubt.
I'm going to hang on to that.
That's right.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, okay. So we're drawing close to the end of our time, but, you know, I want you to put your coach hat on for a second. And
player coach.
Player coach, yeah. Yeah, you're not done.
I'm not coaching yet.
You're not done. For sure. But, you know, we've got about 300 guys in the room today, and they all look so good. But I guarantee you, there's at least one guy in the room who is in the ditch today, right? So, you know, you got a lot of life experience. You got experience of walking with God. Just, you know, what's your coaching to that guy who finds himself in a hole?
Yeah, I mean that's huge. It's big. I mean, one, I think we're all on the same boat. We all need coaching, you know. And for me in my life, I've got a coach for everything. And I'm truly think we're all called to disciple and to be discipled. One, it's the greatest commandment God's ever given us, the Great Commission to go and make disciples of all nations. But I think everybody should have a Paul, everybody should have a Timothy. Everybody have somebody that's pouring into you, and then you may not feel like you know a whole lot, but you know more than you think. And when you start trying to teach somebody, you tend to learn those things a little bit more. That's how I am. That's why I'm here, honestly, like because it gets me going and it gets me prepared to defend my faith. So I'd say find men in your life that can pour into you. Find somebody you want to be like. Find somebody that's ahead of you in life with family, with work, with whatever that is. Man, I've surrounded myself with people. I had listen to a podcast. Matt Chandler just recently. He talks about a king's table. He has a guy he's going to be an encourager to him. He has a guy that's always going to challenge him. He has a guy that he can come to with anything, and he'll be there just to love him, just to accept him. He's also got a guy there next to him who is ready to fight no matter what. So that's his group of people, and there's probably another few there, but find a group of people, specifically one that will pour into your life, and then pass it on, man. And I'd say that the second part of that, man, for anybody struggling with it, one of my favorite verses, and it just popped in my head, is like, it's in the Gospels, but it's the fact that God gives us the right to become children of God. Like, he's given us the right to become a child of God. Like, how cool is that to be adopted? I've got a great dad. He's incredible. He's my hero, I said. I know some of y'all, there's all different stories in there, but man, we have a heavenly Father who loves us so much that right where we're at, no matter where we're at, man, he wants you just as you are. You don't have to clean it up to get right with God. You just have to just get with God, and you'll be right with him. And that's all it is, man. It's just this right. We have that right. He's given it to us to become, and we can become children of God, man. And that's why I love what I'm doing, being a Christian athlete. I don't know how people do it if they don't know that they have somebody fighting for them on their behalf, if they don't know that, because I don't have all the answers as a dad, as a father, as a football player, but I know who does, and I know I can go to him whenever I want to and need to, and I need to a lot. So I'd say those two things, man. Find somebody to coach you up, get coached up, and coach somebody else up, man, and then know there's a family waiting for you if you're not in it yet, that would love you unconditionally, no matter where you're at, not too far gone.
I love that. That's excellent. Well, you'll be around a little bit afterwards if guys want to come up and just say hey to you, ask you another question.
Yeah, if they got $20, they can come by.
That'd be good.
This is my accountant right here, Brian Cadell.
Yeah.
And then his little assistant, Trey Lewis, right there next to him. Yeah. Trey actually offered to, I know we're donating to FCA for this, but Trey actually offered to match all the donations brought today.
Come on,
Trey
that's
Lewis.
great.
I'll have his member number for Lakeside here.
Man, you guys are amazing. Thank you for being here. All right. Hey, would you guys just join me in saying huge thanks? Isn't that great?
Thank y'all.